Hello, in this video we're going to get acquainted with the details of how to deal with passive voice. How do we form the passive voice? It's quite simple. Get the active voice, for example, Christopher Columbus discovered America. Then you get the object, it becomes the subject of the sentence. America was discovered by Christopher Columbus. As a matter of fact, the passive voice then is formed by the subject of the passive, which used to be the object of the active voice, be and the past participle of the main verb, plus the agent or the instrument of the passive. So, how do we choose if it's the agent or the instrument of the passive? Can we clarify all this? Of course. We can mention who or what performed the action by using by and a word or a phrase. The agent is not mentioned if it is unknown, general, obvious, or unimportant, but it is mentioned if the speaker wants to draw attention to it, which means the agent of the passive, for example, the parked car was hit by a lorry. I was told by the embassy that I wouldn't need a visa. Now, the instrument of the passive is with. We use with when something used deliberately for a purpose. For example, the manager was hit with a baseball bat during the robbery. So why do we use the passive voice? For a number of reasons. To move the most important information to the beginning of the sentence. The new swimming pool has just been opened. To be impersonal in a scientific or technical process. The plastic casings are produced in China. When the performer of the action is too general, for example, people, or obvious from context, you don't have to mention who. All pupils are taught computer skills. When the performer of the action is unimportant, the match has been cancelled. Doesn't matter who did it. When the performer of the action is intentionally not named, usually when you don't want to get involved with a certain issue, the workers have been told that the factory will close next week. It could be embarrassing to mention who. When writing news reports, the ringleader of the gang is thought to be Spanish. For stylistic reasons, when writing texts, for example articles, which call for more formal and personal language, your application has been received and you'll be informed of our decision in due course. In advertising, because the product becomes the focus of the attention, our sportswear is tested by robots and worn by world champions. And finally, to avoid the overuse or repetition of personal pronouns or vague words, the M25 motorway is being repaired and should be avoided for the next 2 weeks. So what's the structure? Actually, you can only form the passive from transitive verbs. Intransitive verbs, obviously, such as die, arrive, sleep, cannot have a passive form. So, how do we deal with those different types of verbs? See, intransitive verbs, as they do not take the passive voice, observe this structure, and this structure does not change. Menu, plate. You understand the message, right? So everything that comes after the verb is going to be a complement, namely adverbs. Very well, adverb of manner. At the stadium is an adverb of place. Yesterday, an adverb of time. So whenever the verb responds to questions such as how, where, and when, we cannot use passive. Okay, point is, some other verbs may have more than one object. Remember, the transitive verbs are those that take an object and the object's answer to questions such as what or who. Examples: they make pizza. In the passive voice, pizza is made. They made pizza. Pizza was made. And so on and so forth. They have made pizza. Pizza has been made. They had made pizza. Pizza had been made. They are making attention to the use of continuous forms of verbs here. Pizza is being made. They were making pizza. Pizza was being made. They will make pizza. Pizza will be made. They can make pizza. Pizza can be made. They have to make pizza. Pizza has to be made. This may sound a little obvious, but when you're dealing with exercises, point is you have to focus on the original form of the verb and think about its equivalent form using verb to be. So, some verbs take two objects, as I said before. Verbs such as bring, give, lend, pass, pay, promise, sell, send, show, tell, and so on can be made passive in two different ways. Observe. I gave my sister a birthday present. My sister was given a birthday present. A birthday present was given to my sister. Verbs that take an object and a complement. Some verbs have an adjective or a noun phrase as a complement. When they are made passive, the complement still follows the verb. Observe. People consider her attractive. She is considered attractive. They elected Jim class representative. Jim was elected class representative. Now, what do we do when we have to deal with verbs and prepositions? When a prepositional verb is made passive, the preposition goes at the end of the sentence and has no object. Have a look. Someone is looking after the children. The children are being looked after. Someone shot at them. They were shot at. So, impersonal passive now. There are various passive structures that use the infinitive and are often used in news reporting. Examples: they think the ringleader of the gang is Spanish. The ringleader of the gang is thought to be Spanish. They say the plans for the new sports center are under threat. Plans for the new sports center are said to be under threat. People believe negotiations are coming to a conclusion. Negotiations are believed, or negotiations are rumored to be coming to a conclusion. So this is the present passive plus infinitive. They think the ringleader of the gang fled to Spain. The ringleader of the gang is thought to have fled to Spain. They say the plans for the new sports center were shelved. Plans for the new sports center are said to have been shelved. You see this level of sophistication here. If the original verb is in the past, then you use present passive plus past infinitive, which is to have. You should also think of other details, such as verb patterns. Observe, I heard him leave. He was heard to leave, the complete action. I watched him going away. The action here is not complete. He was watched going away. They saw 3 suspicious men leave the building. 3 suspicious men were seen to leave the building. What happens then with verbs of permission, such as make and allow? Here are other important examples. They made Helen write the test again. Helen was made to write the test again. One thing he hated about prison life was that they made him peel potatoes. One thing he hated about prison life was being made to peel potatoes. They didn't let the passengers get off the plane. The passengers were not allowed to get off the plane. So you see, there are cases you have to even change the verb. Now, impersonal passive can be used with many other verbs. In order to avoid repetition of nouns and pronouns, we use impersonal passive, and the auxiliary verb to be does not have to be repeated. For example, they will collect forensic evidence. They will send it to a laboratory, and then they will analyze it. You see the quantity, the amount of repetition here. So using passive voice, by using passive voice, you can prevent all this. Forensic evidence will be collected, sent to a laboratory, and analyzed. They take the fingerprints and then they feed the results of the fingerprints into a computer. Let's avoid repetition. Fingerprints are taken and the results are fed into a computer. The use of are is optional here. Finally, have and get something done. This is also a passive structure. This is used when you say that someone did something for you, as you couldn't do it yourself. Observe the examples. When someone else does something for you, for example, your car needs servicing, your eyes need to be tested, etc. I am just having my hair cut. You can use this structure to refer to things that are done by someone else and are beyond your control. The boy had his locker broken into and his camera stolen. You can often use get with the same structure, but it is often more informal or more urgent. I must get these documents signed. Well, I know it's a lot of information to take in, but welcome to the marvelous world of passive voice. We're now going to be doing some exercises, okay? Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.